Hello, everybody. Today on the K-Tech Show, we're joined by Johanne, an old tech alumni, and she's here to talk to us a little bit about something called the Story Slam. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and talk about it a little bit.
Thanks, David. Hey, I'm Johan Lindig. I graduated from Tech in 84 and 86, and I've been a friend of New Mexico Tech for all that time. I started a little club a few years ago called Athena Scientifica of other alumna like me who just wanted maybe to make it a little bit easier to be a woman at Tech. We're always outnumbered. And there are certain challenges that we face that I think maybe the men there don't. So we started this little club, and over the last 3 years, we've been hosting what we call the Story Slam. It's an event modeled after the Moth, which is a poetry slam organization. And the intent is for old techies, not, you don't have to be too old either. You can actually be a current techie to tell some great stories on a Saturday afternoon during 49ers outside at the Capitol after the parade, about all the crazy things that we did and are doing on our campus, that stories that'll last forever and stay with us. And thank you, David, for showing the lovely trophy that we have. We have a traveling trophy
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
Story Slam. Yep. And this year, we're actually co-sponsoring that Story Slam with K-Tech.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be raising money to listen to great stories about craziness at Tech, as well as raising money for a good cause to help K-Tech in their operations, and also to support students who want to go or need to go to professional conferences and maybe can't afford um, to travel. So that's what we're doing on October 18th, and I know we'll be talking more about that next week. What I wanted to do today, David,
Mm-hmm.
I brought you a story.
Okay.
So I wanted to tell a little story about the history of the KTEX studio. So everyone may not know, but you are broadcasting live from the basement in Fitch Hall.
Yes.
Um, so Fitch was a men's dorm from the very beginning at the start when Tech was an early school. And I'm sure the basement is always where a lot of shenanigans go on. Long before women came, it was the home of the Cooney Mining Club, where I have to think a lot of cheap beer was consumed and planning for high grading expeditions in local mines were done. Um, Fast forward a little bit to a period of time I'm a little more familiar with, like the 70s and 80s, 1900s. There actually women had started coming to Tech, and there was a woman's dorm next to Fitch called Driscoll.
Mm-hmm.
And in that dorm, in the basement, again, one of those shady places, it was affectionately known as the Ore House. Ha ha. So when Driscoll had to be torn down in like 1979 and there was no ore house, the ore house moved next door to Fitch. Now, it wasn't quite the same thing in Fitch, but there was still a lot of cheap beer drunk down there, I have no doubt. In fact, I may have consumed a little bit of it. And once Driscoll was rebuilt, that area, just the basement of Fitch, became known as the Hole. And there's only 5 or 6 rooms down there. So the open area in the front was where kegs would sit and there would be parties. And it felt like a subversive place, maybe just because it was underground and it wasn't so visible to everybody that there was a party going on or there was some other stuff going on. The 5 or 6 rooms, though, the guys that got put into those rooms quickly, informally kind of formed gangs. And I mean gangs literally. We
Damn.
called them the whole gang. And there were 5 guys. They were never seen apart. It was Mickey and Hootis and Scott and Glenn and Joe. In fact, they even went at Halloween to the Halloween dance as a 6 pack of Miller. So these guys were never seen apart and they were quite a gang. So fast forward now to 1982, and there's still a whole gang, but some of the characters have gone, some new ones have joined, and believe it or not, this gang is even more gangster and rowdier than the original whole gang. So they're causing trouble. What does housing do? Housing says, well, let's put an RA in the hole. Well,
Mm-hmm.
who do they pick to be an RA for this unwieldy, misbehaving, gangster type group down there? A member of the original whole gang. I'm not kidding. So let me just say that did not work out very well. There was probably a month of dueling bad acts, like blowing shaving cream under the door and flooding toilets. And it was tit for tat going back and forth until it almost came to violence. There
Wow.
was an incident after, I don't even know what it was that got blown under the door, but it was obviously offensive to the RA. And he had to be calmed down so that he didn't pound on, and it was typically freshmen who came into the hole,
Mm-hmm.
maybe because it was not the most glamorous of dorm rooms. So once they they realized this was not going to work, housing did what, backtracked, fired the guy, and they broke up the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, uh, there was a really bad juju down in the hole because of all the bad behavior and the violence and the bad feelings that had been, sort of created out of this gangster life down there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as much as I know about the whole. Of course, you know now that Fitch is not a dorm, but I wonder whether the bad juju down there has completely evaporated. I mean, you're not feeling any bad juju down there, are you, David?
I mean, I hope so. I hope that it's not there. Vibes seem pretty good at the moment.
Okay, no violence, no shaving cream under the door.
No violence for now,
All right.
but
Well, that
we'll
sounds
see.
great. All right. I look forward to seeing you at the Story Slam.
All
Thanks,
right.
David.
I'm really excited for Story Slam. I'm excited to have you here in the studio in real life, in person.
Great.
And yeah, I hope everybody goes to Story Slam. Remember, this isn't just for alumni, students, faculty, everyone should participate. So, from what I've heard, the alumni have won the past couple years. So, the students are going to try to take it back.
All
Um,
right. Let's throw down Saturday afternoon,
yes.
12:30 at the Capitol outside.
Yes, remember, 21 and under are allowed. So if you're under
Yeah.
21 but you want to come, you should still come.
Yeah. Thanks, David.
All right. Well, I'll see you for Story Slam.
Yep.
Bye.